Part 1. Declaration for the Freedom of Humanity. The Elemental Grace Alliance Cosmic Christ Mandate. Saint Germain, 3rd July, 2022. Invocation. Mighty I Am Presence from the Great Central Sun. I am the immortal God governing for divine justice to be activated more directly, seizing this opportunity for this global movement to embrace world independence, union, and the correct and rightful relationships between mankind and all of God life, the elementals, devas, and angelic host, beginning between mankind and themselves. Blaze forth the valley-consuming flame of purity within the I Am One World Nation, consuming all human discord. I am God's authority and presence of the cosmic light substance of immortal purity. I am the qualifying victorious Christ presence, and I am the heart, mind, and body temple of the I Am One World Nation through divine justice. I am the cosmic and universal laws acting out here and there. Let there be light in this one world nation. Let there be love in this one world nation. Let there be justice in this one world nation. Let the peace of God become the governing power of truth in this one world nation. Let the joy and freedom of the people be that peace, and create heaven upon and within America first, and the I Am One World Nation. I am the heart of this one world nation. Introduction. Saint Germain. Beloved family of the Creator's agape love and truth, before I introduce you to this very unusual cosmic Christ mandate, never made manifest within any of the Supreme Creator's creations, and definitely never before upon this earth planet, 4 things I wish you to know. Number 1. To be able to understand, or at the very least entertain in your heart and mind, even if just a glimmer of possibility, that God is the universal consciousness and is the creative mind power that flows in, through, and all around you, or this cosmic Christ mandate will have little meaning for you right now. 2. That you will need to have some conceptualization of the concept of reincarnation, death, and rebirth, either absolutely true within your inner knowing or intellectual understanding of the process, or you are at least open to the idea that while the body returns to dust at the end of its term for learning, growing, and developing its divine spiritual connection and overall purpose to God life, where the consciousness of that person returns back to the source of its origin. While death of the human physical body does reduce itself to ashes, the consciousness does leave that body and returns to a place yet unknown to the masses of humanity. This consciousness then is eternal, and from time to time returns back to earth for more lessons, growing and developing, while experiencing the truth of God and Spirit in matter. This has been going on for millions of years on this planet alone, and is a truth that must become part of your human experience sooner rather than later. For it is the underlying facet of your true being within the physical body experiences across linear timelines. 3. That what you see and hear and live within your present life by is but the creation of human consciousness, not God universal consciousness, while many dear souls who appear to be soulless, performing the most unfathomable atrocities to other human beings and the earth herself, are but human beings who have lost that God connection, which the soul within uses to express the truth of God. When it has raised its soul persona consciousness in vibrational resonance, that the monadic soul is able to come forth within the heart and mind to see humanity as being part of a greater unified and interrelated whole of a same species. 4. That what I will refer to in this cosmic Christ mandate as the false power elite, power mongers, criminals, and the like, these are also God beings in essence, of a much lower level of consciousness that live out their lives drawing their energies from the mass consciousness of the overall human existence that all human beings presently living their lives within. Dear ones, God is not separate from anything. If you have heard the words, I am that I am, they mean God is one with all things. Everything you see and touch, and everything you cannot. Everything that you know, and everything that you do not know yet. So these lower vibrational brothers and sisters of a united humanity, which we call the laggard consciousness, are also a part of you within a human race, and they appear to be taking over the world. No, they are simply playing out the mass consciousness where people all over the world have lost their connections to God. Is that not what Jesus the Christ came to earth to show you? To remind you that what you think you are, a human conscious being, is not the truth of who you truly are as God-conscious beings. These dear laggards are here to wake you up, to show that without God in your life, you can and will destroy this earth, blowing it out of existence again, just as you all have played your parts in the destructions of so many civilizations, such as the Tok and the Atlanteans here upon the planet Earth, as well as other planetary bodies within the solar system. Have you truly wondered what the asteroid and Kuiper belts are? They are the remnants of the planet Maldek and its moons, Terra, another Earth planet destroyed by the manipulation of space-time fields, and the remnants of another dimensional planet called Tiamat, a fifth-dimensional world that humanity there destroyed also. Mars was next on the list of planets that would have been destroyed by the laggard consciousness had God not intervened there, and now Earth was on the same path. But that is not God's divine plan for the Earth. So now God has proclaimed through the sons and daughters of God within humanity who are awake to such interferences that no more laggard consciousness will be allowed to remain upon Earth, and the Earth and humanity must now return back to its original design by removing such consciousness, known as the Cabal and deep state entities who presently falsely govern the Earth and its people at this time. For ultimately, the freedom of the people and all God life has always been the destination of this human race, to return back to God's universal consciousness. So here you are, at a point of human history that has taken millions of years to manifest this moment in linear time, where the destruction of any of God's planets will not be allowed to be destroyed by an out-of-control human consciousness, not by any group of lower consciousness beings. None of this is new to those who have studied such history and truth. It is all in your world libraries, both spiritual and others. But unless one is ready to seek the truth, the law of attraction will only attract to you that which your consciousness believes in. There is more to life than humanity could ever imagine, can never imagine. There is so much life in this Milky Way system of worlds alone, just in higher planes of existence, that the masses here cannot see just yet. But that is about to change. Hopefully now, this Christ mandate will make a whole lot more sense in why it has come about at this most crucial moment in the time of Earth's evolutionary path and the human path of transition from the laggard consciousness to Christ consciousness. So let us begin by offering you some details of this Christ mandate that may help in the understanding of how humanity has reached this plethora of full survival and morality, before it too would implode upon itself with further lack of God awareness and truth of God existence. And so it is. Qualification of the mission statement and the divine spiritual hierarchy. Mission statement, the Elemental Grace Alliance, the God Awakening Book, page 37, 10th of September, 2011. To change or rewrite the divine charters with God for the elementals and nature kingdoms, so that a radical and significant shift can be made toward humanity's conscious awareness about their interrelatedness and co-creational abilities for a more active and mutually beneficial co-creative collaboration together. While this mission statement, declared on the 10th of September 2011, may seem somewhat incomprehensible to many, and coming to light long before this, the merging of these two declarations, there are, in fact, tens of millions of dear souls within the world today whose spirit will rise from the depths of their being when they read or hear these few but multi-dimensional words. True divine understanding of what this means will not come from the intellectual mind. Rather, it will be remembered not in words, but through feelings, through the universal heart of God within the human heart center. Those who seek only divine love, peace, joy, happiness, and abundance for all of God's life will finally rejoice, knowing that now upon earth a very specific divine plan has been grounded, along with many thousands of other plans, which are ready now for every able and willing person to rise up and join in to bring divine harmony back to earth, not seen here for millions of years. This divine plan may not see the complete light of the day within this generation, but it must begin now for the greater glory of God and the children of God, for today, tomorrow, and into the future to come. It is time to reset the cosmic Christ clock within every dear soul who is ready to stand in the face of all adversity of a world lost within the meticulous intentions of power mongers who care not what they leave in their wake of inhumane acts of destruction, control, theft, criminal acts, imbalance, and inharmony, where human rights are being totally trampled upon, disregarded, corralling humanity further into submission and love's exile, holding them in states of consciousness that blocks and forbids them their own opportunities to remember their God-given rights to be free as their own individualized sovereign God selves. Today, there are millions of New World servers around the globe who are indeed ready and who will be found in all places of human life, in family homes, neighbors, communities, factories, churches, businesses of all natures, shops, schools, hospitals, all forms of media, the community services including rescue, police, and fire brigades, military, air, earth, and sea, in all areas of world banking and governmental departments in every country, all waiting for this moment to arrive where the present status quo will be overturned by the hands of God. They will rise up in the name of God to spearhead the revelations of truth, about the hidden realms of all despicable acts against humanity in general, but more so that which are directed toward women and children of this world, to suppress the power of the woman and subliminally coerce children to lose their identities, so that they will grow up having their identities distorted, so they are more malleable by not knowing the realities of the truth of their origins as masculine or feminine, male or female physical beings. Those in power today over humanity have as their greatest fear the power of fully embodied woman, feminine consciousness, of that innate power to know what is truth and what is a lie, what is right and what is wrong. And so the women of the world have been targeted for centuries, and the need by this ignorant and arrogant men in particular. Today it is more important to suppress and crush families, where women are brought into greater submission for their innate powers, and children are created confused, and thus becoming neutralized into a sense of insobriety, where the drunken state of confusion about their true sexuality as a male or as a female, thus in their subjective state of consciousness, becomes neutralized within the questions around gender. These acts of oppression and forcibly being brainwashed of their sexuality are equal to, at the very least, greater than the sexual abominations such as rape, pedophilia, and sexual enslavement that have been and are continuing today imposed upon women and children, are the most atrocious and arduous crimes that are ever committed against another human being. Indeed, against the Supreme Father, Mother, Creator God. And the cosmic laws of divine justice and accountability makes no judgments upon those who conduct themselves within the planning and or execution of such things. Yet the atonement, or bringing back into balance, is governed by the full extent of all the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual damages that are caused and inflicted upon each and every person affected by such attacks upon their mind, body, and spirit. Not just the individual victim wherein, but for every other person within their circle of influence, such as family members, friends, colleagues, and communities. For every person so touched through any crimes against humanity, they will have to atone for every person touched in any way negatively by such imbalanced events, and there are no exceptions to this law. For God's laws are immutable, inescapable, indestructible, incorruptible, and untouchable. God proclaims it by universal decree that these acts against humanity, but not limited to them alone, will now be brought to divine justice. If the perpetrators knew the depth of such atonements coming their way, they would never have entertained a single negative thought upon another person, ever. Human penitentiaries in your world are but a drop in the ocean for the God atonement for such acts. And this is not about any punishment, but it is simply the laws of balance which all wrongdoings must be atoned for and brought back into balance. The New World servers, the sons and daughters of God, are also hidden in the ranks of the would-be power elite, the criminal gangs and all other ordered or spontaneous activities against humanity or the earth herself. These dear New World servers, who have knowingly or unknowingly found their ways behind the closed doors of the false authorities, are the sons and daughters of God, and they are present, watching and preparing, awaiting their moments to do their parts, for the power of God to be returned back to the people of the world, starting with America first. So they, under their own inner and outer esteem of divine freedom, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness through the truth of God universal consciousness, to assist in the return of freedom to the people, so they may govern themselves in true democracy as the original U.S. Constitution attested, to uphold humanity's God-given rights that demands in accordance with cosmic law for it to be upheld. Notice the whistleblowers, dear souls, now coming forward, for they have heard the inner calling and will risk life and limb to stand up for the human rights, as 35th President John F. Kennedy of the United States and Martin Luther King did, along with so many others in the USA and all around the world. The seekers of justice are lining up en masse now to stand for what is right and what is truth in their own hearts, no longer accepting laws and rules that dishonor their human rights. Where do you, who are reading or listening to this Cosmic Christ Mandate presentation, stand in the light of these next statements? Truth can no longer be silenced. Seek only the truth. To know God, first know yourself. Take the path of least resistance. No longer seek further that which is seen. Rather, seek only now that which is unseen. May you pass every test. There is not a sparrow that falls from the sky that God does not know about. And there is not a thought, word, or action that any man, woman, or child has that God does not know about. So, the sons and daughters of God can now trust, with divine faith, that cosmic law shall prevail over all iniquitous and inequality behaviors, no matter how large and obtrusive or small and insignificant they may seem. In all such untruths and acts that are misaligned to cosmic laws and the will of God are and will be made accountable through the law of one, the law of life, the law of the circle, and the law of cause and effect, to name but a few. And these alone will be humanity's saving grace from this time forward. There are now sufficient dear souls upon the planet, holding this plan of salvation within their hearts, awaiting to receive the correct resonant light frequency to activate their God-given DNA encodements, to shine their inner lights. That call was the activation of the new true Constitution and the I Am One World Nation, the silent permission for those in waiting to come forward by the power of God within them as the peacemakers, negotiators, protectors, defenders, diplomats, mediators, arbitrators, guardians, custodians, and ambassadors of human rights, to take this evolutionary plan to its next level of conscious awareness and remembrance of the God within, the good or God to do, and the good or God to be. On the 17th of September 2020, in London, the United Kingdom, a new true constitution for a new I Am One World Nation was given an immaculate birthing, being officially signed by unascended human beings along with the higher beings and circles of light who govern this system of worlds. Since that execution, a massive radical program of disclosures where all secrets held from humanity have been God magnetized to the surface for greater human awareness within the masses of humanity, where people will gradually awaken from a deep sleep of forgetfulness and to see how they have been so coerced into this slumbering state of consciousness. There are dear souls already awake, and are also those who are ready to walk in the footsteps of our beloved Jesus the Christ. So all of humanity will have the opportunity, through their own free will, to make changes in their daily lives towards a new reality for a new golden life. In this new golden age, as it continues to manifest bigger and brighter than anything known to humanity upon this planet since its creation, Divine justice is now acting out upon this earth where no human being, family, group, society, media outlet, business, or foundation can hide behind any man-made laws, rules, or orders. No jurisdiction, prerogatives, or immunity will protect them from their own miscreations anymore, which are now being turned back by the light of God against them in a way that will manifest very soon. By the champions of law and order, peace and liberty to all, happiness and divine justice. It may be painful for many of humanity during this process, but know this: it is a vital part of this transition, and this is not necessarily right now about you who are reading this, but more so about the future of God's children. It is a small ask for the sake of the children. For the greater good and glory of the children of God, we go. Unconditional agape love is the only authority and governing power within all of God's creations and cannot be challenged by any being or beings within a consciousness less than that of universal consciousness. And in universal consciousness, there is no such thing as a challenge, which is only an imbalance within a physical world. Universal Christ consciousness is divine truth, and divine truth is all-seeing, all-knowing, indestructible, immutable, and incorruptible. So it will not be possible for any part of humanity to bring all beings who practice, support, or sustain any iniquitous behaviors, knowingly or unknowingly, to human justice. This will not do it. It can only be achieved from the causal levels of humanity, and hence by their own I Am presence or higher self, who is the only one who can and will serve God's divine justice through divine truth. In this, there are no exceptions of man or beast that can escape the laws of accountability for any thoughts, words, or actions, and will become liable in accordance with cosmic law, those which protect and sustain in balance all of God life. In this light of conscious awareness in God's grace and mercy, a New World Plan was conceptualized, created, and consecrated within the chambers of Shambhala 90 years ago, in the mid-1930s, which led to the beginning of multiple grants and dispensations from the Karmic Board of Directors, giving the Masters and other God intelligences who govern and overlight this planet to open communication channels with those dear human souls who had their antakaranas, higher communication channels, sufficiently open enough and were receptive through their resonance, vibrational frequencies, and light body quotients to receive the Ascended Master's telepathic transmissions and impressions of how this world could be raised into higher consciousness en masse that would help to bring the salvation of the world and turn lives and false beliefs away from those who use war, that is, physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual war in all their forms, be it seen and unseen by human eyes, and heard or unheard by human ears. These immoral things are only created by those who have disconnected themselves from their soul essence and who have denied God within their own lives. These are false prophets who claim to know how to lead a human race through its evolutionary path back to God. But they also do not claim they know how to turn humanity into their slaves. You thought, dear ones, that slavery was abolished. But if you've not seen or felt today's silent slave traders corralling humanity into the pens for their keeping, and the squalor of poverty and oppression using them for their own sustenance and controlling agendas, look around you, for you haven't seen anything yet. They are now woven into the fabric of every person's life today, and most people have no clue of such penetrations. Most of humanity continues to look at the forest and cannot see the tree that stands before them that is blocking their path. And if you do not believe me, start doing your own due diligence searches on the species, size, and color of the tree. A picture of health, beauty, and enlivening? Is it smooth, barked, pleasant to the eye? Or is it craggy with multiple snarly branches surrounded in thorns? Or is it poisonous, toxic, pestilential to touch? How will you perceive such a tree? You may be glad that this information is now in your hands to decide what you will do with it next. That is, before the life of God is completely snuffed out of you, and you are not able to wake up to how you are being deceived into becoming technologically, artificially, and senselessly turned into human beings who can no longer think and feel for themselves. It is happening, dear ones. Don't take my word for it. Do your own investigations. Start asking the questions that matter in all the right places. For when enough people ask more questions, the quicker the status quo shall see their powers to deceive are gone. They have no plan B. They are intelligent, but they do not exercise any intelligence. For true intelligence belongs to God, and no intellect has any power over God and universal consciousness. Use universal consciousness in your creative mind powers to love, and you can take their perceived powers away from them. Follow the laws of the cosmos, and the destruction will cease. Balance will return to the people, because human laws are powerless against God. In the answers to your questions, be aware that the answer in words alone are cheap, and it is only the consistent action that defines the true person or persons, not their words alone. The false power elite, cabal or deep state, and the criminal organizations or the new slave traders only see humanity as commodities to use for their own agendas. Go back in history as far as you can and see for yourself the truth of these sharings. God's creative mind power, universal consciousness, has no agendas. God has no agendas in his/her/its universal consciousness. Divine agape love has no agenda, for divine unconditional love simply is. Unchangeable, undeniable, and all-encompassing, and knows nothing of such human miscreations, agendas, or anything that is iniquitous in nature. Only human beings in the physical world will live by such false beliefs. The Divine Spiritual Hierarchy. This mission statement has now been responsible for the immaculate concept for the God creation, not a human plan, for the new true constitution and I am one world nation plan that shall become in time the cosmic and divine of every man, woman, and child around the world. The rightful applications to God life through divine grace, compassion, and mercy to all sentient life, including the first kingdom, the minerals and microorganisms, the second kingdom, the plants and trees, the third kingdom, insects, animals, birds, and fish, the fourth kingdom, humanity, and the fifth kingdom, where humanity will become the new hierarchy upon Mother Gaia, where the higher God intelligences can physically come and live, experience, walk, and talk face to face together with human beings. The fifth kingdom will also see the elementals, devas, and nature worlds come alive in their true physical presentations to mankind, and where open communications with them will be as natural to you as you speak and share in love and joy today, but with a much higher form of God intelligence. It will not happen overnight. but it is now set in divine love and action to bring Christ consciousness to the forefront of all humankind's awareness, like never before upon and within this earth realm. Everything has now been painstakingly qualified in God consciousness and grounded here upon earth, throughout all 7 spheres of God life within the solar system and beyond, and is now qualified and consecrated by the unascended beings who are now ready to begin the divine manifestations, healing, clearing, and releasing beloved Mother Gaia and the human consciousness of lower temporal miscreations, iniquitous thought forms, and actions. This is but the first step, but it is a step already in divine flow, as a divine expression of agape love and action that no person or persons without exception can any more tear humanity asunder, denying them of their human rights to be free, loved, full of joy, happiness, and abundance of all good and God things. Nothing is denied by God, for every man, woman, and child is not only a child of man, but also, and more importantly, a child of God. Sons and daughters with the same power to create as God creates. This EGA, Cosmic Christ Mandate, is founded within a plan that has been initiated, created, and sustained within the cosmic laws and God's will for humanity, not the laws of man and the ego personality's free will. This is a divine truth that has been Cosmic Christ mandated by the higher beings of God intelligences who belong to the higher circles of light within the solar system, where humanity is being invited to consciously walk forward now to fulfill this true constitution and I am one world nation, where separation consciousness will be a thing of the past. Wars will cease. Borders will be removed. Sickness and ill health will decrease through the new educational programs that will replace outdated ones and no longer required for both children, parents, and adults alike. Governments will fall like dominoes, and the new Christ councils will allow for the people to govern themselves, who will continue to honor their cultures, racial differences, and above all, the rightful understanding will return humanity back to their truth of their sexual male and female orientations, as well as the true virgin understanding of the divinity, qualities, and virtues of the masculine and feminine attributes inherent in both man and woman equally. There are nearly 8 billion inhabitants upon the planet today, but this planet we love, in her divine and pristine state, was created and destined to sustain 10 billion people. However, while the imbalances exist as they are today, this increase cannot be allowed in accordance to divine will. To understand this truth, and to see this for what beauty is overlighting God's design of worlds within worlds, dear souls must be able to more ardently grasp the God reality, which looks nothing like the present human reality that mirrors human thought and projections. They must dissolve and replace the old beliefs and mental programs that they once believed was their only reality, and now replaced with the new, and believe it by starting to live it, while taking one step at a time toward greater awareness of a much bigger picture that is designed to set all of God life free, not just humanity. Human beings take on an average 3,000 to 5,000 steps a day or so. Many choices can be made every day when being guided by the I Am presence or higher self that all human beings have within them, without exception. This is the way forward to experience for oneself the benefits of all life in creating the same way God creates, in divine love and truth for the greatest good of all, especially for the children who are presently here in shackles of human miscreation, and those in the future who will not only be birthed through loving, nurturing, kind, and harmless parents with such compassion and joy in their hearts. Even those dear children who come here not via the human reproductive biological energetic system, but who are already awaiting entry, for they are already evolved far beyond the human mass consciousness of today, and their presence here upon the planet will require pristine states of consciousness where no residues of the human lower consciousness still remain, embedded within the earth where they shall live. These children will range from 3 years old to around 19 years of age. Or maybe to be clearer, they will have the appearances of 3 to 19 years of age. Lord Melchizedek has told you in his discourse that all this comes under the governing powers of the higher God intelligences of the following. I quote, "First and foremost will be the Shambhala Circle of Light Council, who shall have the overlighting responsibility for the second, the Hierarchy Circle of Light Council, who shall be responsible for the third, the Human Circle of Light Council, now called the Triune Grace Commission, who shall be responsible for the fourth, the Supplementary 7 Circle of Light Council, who shall be responsible for humanity, the animal, plant, and mineral kingdoms, not to forget the elemental, devas, and angelic host kingdoms. All shall be able to communicate with each other, and all shall be interactive through divine will, divine order, divine synthesis, all in absolute compliance with the law of one, and indeed the law of the circle. There now exist 4 circles of light activated for the purpose of commissioning the laws of the cosmos to be acted out upon the earth. Now think about this, dear hearts. That means that this is no longer the sole domain of the council chambers of Shambhala. It is now the domain of the spiritual triad of Shambhala, hierarchy and humanity, with the inclusion of humanity, the supplementary 7, those dear souls whose feet are on the ground at point 0, who are doing the work on the front line, if I may use these terms with respect. These circles are circles within circles, rings of consciousness within rings of consciousness. So when you hear that the law of the circle has been initiated throughout the universe, and the energetic impact of this grand supreme creator seed thought is now operating in full force, and the time of expansion for this phase of creation has come to a close, and the current phase of the cycle entails a greater sending forth of its essence to incorporate all that has been created during this particular cycle of expansion. It means that the outer circles have been closed. A ring passeth not. This will allow for the collective knowledge and experiences to be brought into translatable terms on all levels of existence within this greater plan and within all the participants at all levels. This then is a part of a final merging of all the balanced, manifested essences of creation, so that the Supreme Creator, the gods and goddesses throughout the omniverse, and all the greater beings of light can know and experience all that they have created. This means all levels of dimensional kingdoms, including the lower 4, mineral, plant, animal, and human, there on earth. You have heard this saying many times, as above, so below. And this is an important truth to remember. Just as you are reclaiming all the facets of your divinity, the same reunification process is occurring from the Supreme Creator Source outward. The information we are giving to assist you to reclaim your co-creative abilities is a microcosmic duplication of the creative process throughout the omniverse. First, you must gain the ability to draw forth the full spectrum of Metatronic light, life force of this universe called adamantine particles, which are radiated forth into the river of life from the heart core of Father, Mother, God. It becomes accessible when your energetic signature is attuned to the mid-fourth dimensional level and higher. In order to take advantage of this divine gift, you must understand and apply the universal laws of manifestation, and you must activate the adamantine particles of light with your pure intention before this essence of light can be activated and flow out into the world. To speed up the process, it is important that you have created your own personal creator wheel, flower of life circle around you, and you have filled it with your carefully thought out grand design for the future. Thereafter, via the infinity and united breath, your focused intention and deliberate actions, the process of manifestation in the material world is greatly accelerated. So now you have an even greater opportunity to do all this with higher awareness through the infinite and united structures that the process must embody, within unison, one within the other, one circle within the other. The cosmic laws have no exclusions. What is bound for the higher realms to obey, so must apply to all kingdoms. So, for educational purposes, I tell you that the Shambhala Circle of Light will continue to work through the first ray of will and power. The second Hierarchy Circle of Light shall work through the second ray of love and wisdom. The third Humanity Circle of Light shall work through the third ray of intelligent activity, and the supplementary 7, Humanity on the Ground, shall work through the fourth ray of harmony through conflict. I will not identify the circle members or those who shall be active participants at this time, for such seats are still under final deliberation. What I can tell you is that the principles of the councils shall be Shambhala, Sanat Kumara, Hierarchy, Lord Christ Jesus, Humanity, Maha Chohan, and the supplementary 7, Lady Portia / El Moria. End excerpt. On the 7th of August, 2022, the final activation shall send forth an intensity of adamantine particles of light with the pure intention of unascended beings joined by the Supreme Creator Seed Thought of all 7 spheres of God intelligence, operating in full force through the full participation for all 4 circles of light spoken of above, where, and I quote, "The current phase of the cycle entails the greater sending forth its essence to incorporate all that has been created during this particular cycle of expansion. It means that the outer circles have been closed. A ring passeth not. This will allow for the collective knowledge and experiences to be brought into translatable terms on all levels of existence within this greater plan and within all the participants at all levels." End quote. This activation is now an impossibility to stop by any discordant, incompatible, or opposing factions, for it is divinely programmed within, and, I quote, "the domain of the spiritual triad of Shambhala, hierarchy, and humanity, with the inclusion of humanity, the supplementary 7, those dear souls whose feet are on the ground at point 0. End quote. It means that sufficient dear unascended human souls have now created in the name of God a group creator wheel of impeccable design in various levels of dimensions, a flower of life circle that now envelops this solar system and worlds, and where Mother Gaia and planet Earth will hold the power of place in alignment with the God charters through all the elemental, devas, and angelic host worlds, so she can complete her evolutionary process of her own evolutionary life cycle. What does this mean for humanity here today? It means that no more human beings' evolutions will be allowed to continue upon this earth until their resonances have reached a certain level of awareness. It means that those who insist upon following the paths of life without God awareness will have to continue the evolutionary cycles upon other physical worlds that remain still in those levels of lower consciousness. It means that all interfering entities of dark forces held here upon Mother Gaia, within the astral and psychic realms, throughout all 9 dimensions, will no longer be allowed to remain within this universal, galactic, and cosmic combined force field. Humanity will then have the opportunity to start a new life, called the new Adam, Lilith, Cadman human race. The divine love and action which has been initiated for the changing of the guards shall dramatically speed up the divine plan throughout the world, but beginning with America first. And if you want to know more about why America, then this will be made available to those seeking the higher truths also. But make no mistake, dear ones, that just because America has been given this opportunity to lead by example, it in no uncertain terms mean that other countries cannot pick up the baton of change and step into the full authority to fulfill this divine plan. But remember, authority without accountability is not authority at all, but a false authority, and thus nothing will change, and more liability for those who make decisions in government on behalf of the people will be held accountable for all wrong choices that continue not to protect the people against all tyrannous activities and deny the people they serve their God-given human rights to be free, shall become their own misqualifications, both individually and as political groups, all equally liable and accountable for all imbalanced creations in accordance to cosmic law. It all comes back, I quote, to change or rewrite the divine charters with God for the elementals and nature kingdoms, so that a radical and significant shift can be made toward humanity's conscious awareness about their interrelatedness and co-creational abilities for a more active and mutually beneficial co-creative collaboration together. End quote. Beloved humanity, who may read these words, whether you believe them or not, understand them or not, accept them or not, it is time for the world of humanity to turn a new page in its book of life. A new golden age is upon you, and the changes that will come, not all pleasant and easily managed, but it is a necessity, for you and Mother Gaia also needs to be reborn, healed, and set free. Those who shall be the conscious evolutionary guides for the processes to come are well versed in such planetary transitions, and so everything you need is already available to you. But you must, to benefit by such things, see the outer world you live in a totally different way. What you see now is the illusion of a man-made world. What you will see in the generations to come will be a God-created world. It won't be easy at first, but you must know that if you are here upon the planet in these changing times, you have your part to play. You may not remember from within your human mind, but your I Am presence knows all, and when and if you can learn to communicate directly with it, Your life will become peaceful in the chaos, abundant in the lack, loving in the fear, healthy in the sickness, joyous in the inharmonious, and above all compassionate and merciful in the torment and that which is inhumane. Remember, please, the words of Jesus the Christ when he was upon the earth. I am the way, the truth, and the life. And so it is. I am the divine oneness of my soul. I am the complete integration of my monad. I am the loving vibration of the Creator. I am the keys, patterns, and codes of the Creator's love. I am love, and I magnify the love of God throughout the earth. As above, so below, as within, so without. As the soul, so the universe. I am that I am. I am that I am. I am that I am. I am grateful. I am grateful. I am God grateful. I am Saint Germain, your holy brother. Benediction. We gratefully arise and awaken in our free will, by conscious command, the violet-consuming flame. By the law of cosmic Christ purity within, by becoming the heart of the I Am One World Nation, going forth in agape love in action now.